Welcome back to the Artie Lange Show. Tomorrow, one of the biggest nights you could have in Vegas. I've been to Vegas for many a night. Super Bowl weekend, when a lot of the whores turned 21. I had my half Filipino kid's 10th birthday I celebrated recently, and he's always whining that his mom's complaining about money. But tomorrow is a big fight weekend. Mayweather versus who? Canelo. Italian kid. And we got a guy out there covering it. Chris Mannix. Mannix, what's up, buddy?
Well, Artie, after detonating my career hosting your softball game, your home run derby, it's good to be back on.
That's right. You gotta after you fall down like that in your career, you gotta pick yourself up, dust yourself off.
Right back in the mix, baby.
Right back in the mix. I want to mention also this fight, Mayweather versus Canelo, will be available on DirecTV pay-per-view tomorrow in Vegas. Where is it at? The Mirage? Where
the MGM Grand, the Grand Garden Arena in Vegas.
And Sports Illustrated sent you there to cover it?
They did. I've been here since Tuesday. It's been a pretty wild ride all week.
Now, do you cover a lot of fights?
Yeah, I cover a lot of fights, all the big ones. And now that the Barclays Center in New York has gotten more involved, and there's always fights in Atlantic City, and there's certainly a lot of fights at Madison Square Garden, I do everything in the Northeast Corridor. But, you know, for these fights that with Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao or another big fight that might be out there in Vegas, I come out.
Well, how many strippers will be looking for annulments so far?
Well, I haven't been to a strip club yet, but, you know, the weekend is still not over, so I'm not really sure.
Are you staying at the MGM Grand?
I am staying at the MGM Grand. It is, you know, like little Mexico out here because Canelo Alvarez has got a huge amount of fans that have come up from Mexico, Mexican Americans as well. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
They've been here since Tuesday, and
You're
it's just
Italian
absolutely
kid,
wild.
Artie.
Is that the Italian kid? Oh, he's Mexican.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
sorry.
not Italian. Canelo is not, you know, cannoli.
Canelo means
Canelo.
redhead. It means redhead.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, guys.
It's just a nickname.
You know, I mean, it could be anything to me. To me, he's a person.
Canelo in Spanish means cinnamon, and that's the color of his hair. That was where his nickname came from.
Really? Cinnamon hair?
Yeah.
Yeah. We want to live with the cinnamon hair.
Kind of looks. I mean, Artie, he kind of looks Irish too. He's got the freckles. He's got the red hair.
I think he looks like a lot like
typical
Blake Griffin too.
Yeah, he's got a little of the Blake Griffin look too. I mean, people joke like Blake Griffin. They say SpongeBob. You know, looks like as well. I mean, there are a lot of cracks about Canelo's appearance. He's got that baby face.
Blake Griffin's an odd-looking guy. If that guy couldn't play basketball, it'd be a very sad life. Okay, so we got some action going on. What do you think about Mayweather? Has he still got it? I mean, I think the guy's still a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, he still is. I mean, if you follow boxing at all, you know that every fighter at some point gets old in the ring. I mean, Roy Jones, the most recent example. I mean, we remember how great Roy Jones was in the 90s, the early part of the 2000s. I mean, he was just legendary with his speed, his reflexes, his ability just to stop you with a punch that you don't see coming from a mile away.
Definitely.
He was fantastic, but he eventually faded. I mean, you go back to the Antonio Tarver fight when he got knocked out 5-6 years ago. That was the start of his decline in the ring. I mean, eventually it's going to happen to Mayweather, but one reason it won't happen for a while, well, two reasons really. Number one, Mayweather doesn't take a lot of punishment and never has in his time in the ring. He's one of the best defensive fighters in boxing history, and he's been able to avoid a lot of the big shots that have drained a lot of fighters in the past. And the other is he's just so good at adapting. He's not necessarily just reliant on that same speed that Roy Jones was. He has a great technique, great footwork. I mean, he is just a complete package as a fighter. And we saw last May, I mean, he just absolutely obliterated Robert Guerrero in the ring over 12 rounds. And if he's the same Mayweather on fight night tomorrow night, and there's no reason to believe that he won't be, this could be a long night for Canelo Alvarez.
If you could choose a way Larry Merchant dies, what would it be?
I like Larry. I think Larry is underrated, man.
Oh, my God. I've never heard a bigger... I'd say you get Mannix in here and get a couple of pops in him. It's a different story.
You know, it's a Showtime fight, though, so, you know, Larry's not around.
Oh, good. No, I don't know. He's always been annoying to me. I think he's just annoying. And him and Mayweather have a history, right? Isn't Mayweather the guy who wanted to punch him or something?
Yeah, there was something. And then Larry said to him, if I was 50 years younger, I'd kick your ass. And that didn't that didn't really go.
Let me explain something to you, Larry. If you were 50 years younger, he would kick your ass.
Yeah, unless he was 50 years older. I mean, I still don't.
He'd still kick your ass. He'd still kick your ass.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you have to say it because you're trying to be professional, but you're on this show, so that goes out the window. Now, when you cover it, like, how many words do you send into Jan Winter? Oh no, Sports Illustrated. Who do you write for?
Yeah, Sports Illustrated.
Now, how many words do you do this?
It'll depend. I mean, this week I've written probably 5 or 6 times for the web. At 1,000, 1,500 words a pop.
Wow.
On Fight Night. It's always the reason you come out here. Honestly, Artie, is we don't really write stories if Mayweather wins. You come out here for the intrigue and the possibility if he loses, because there really is no fighter, maybe in boxing history, that has more people watching to see him lose than they do see him win.
Really? Is he that hated? I don't get that. He's that hated, huh?
Hate might be too strong a word. It's just, he's
jealousy.
So polarizing. It's just he makes this big circus. He's always on those all-access shows. He spends his money so liberally. I mean, people just want to see someone give him his just due, and he begs you for it. I mean, he goes out there and he says, "Come get me. I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to keep yapping. You can't touch me. I'm the greatest of all time." And up to this point, nobody has been able to touch him. But people still click that button on their cable box to order these fights and pay $64, $75 each time out, every time he fights, just for the possibility of seeing him lose. I think there'll be just as many people this time around doing that exact same thing.
You know what I think Floyd Mayweather is? When I think of Floyd Mayweather, I think he's the guy that Michael Jackson is singing about in the song "Smooth Criminal." I just think that's him. That's the guy. You've been hit by. You've been hit by.
You know what he is, though, Artie? I mean, the guy lives rap lyrics. I mean, his entire life.
Who doesn't?
He does whatever he wants. He flies wherever he wants. He goes to clubs, and clubs pay him north of $100,000 just for him to show up and throw money in the air.
Really?
And yes, it's insane.
100 G's just to show up.
Yes, I'm actually curious what they would give Boschetti just to show up. But
I don't know. We priced that.
I got a limit on my appearances.
Actually, Boschetti has to pay them.
Limit on my appearances.
He gets free T-shirts. No, it is as a comic. I hate that because I get good money, but I got to do an hour of stand-up.
Yeah, no, they just invite him all across the country. He hops in the private jet. He goes to these clubs. These class clubs in Atlanta and Miami and L.A. and Vegas, and he just does his thing. Goes there and shows up, and he draws people in like magnets. The reason, that whole HBO 24/7 series that became an Emmy-nominated, Emmy Award-winning series, and this all-access series that Showtime has kind of copied from HBO, it became big because Floyd Mayweather was in it, because he's in it, and he's throwing money around, he's outlandish, he's boisterous, he's doing all this stuff that makes you either love him or hate him, but one way or the other, it makes you want to watch him.
Yeah, I know. Wow, just to show up 100 G's, nice.
Nice life, you can get it.
Yeah, sure is. Chris, how does Canelo win this fight? I'm one of those people who thinks Mayweather. How's Mayweather gonna dodge all those body shots? If he lands some nasty body blows and breaks a couple ribs, I mean, does that take him out of this? What do you think Canelo needs to do?
No, it's a good question, and that's exactly what the game plan is going to be for Alvarez. It's twofold. One is go to the body a lot because he is known as one of the better body punchers in boxing today, and others use the jab. I mean, Oscar De La Hoya in 2007, he was leading on the scorecards through about 8 rounds because his jab was working all night long. And if you can use a consistent jab against Mayweather, you've got a decent shot of beating him. The problem is nobody that Mayweather's fought since De La Hoya has been able to put together that type of jab. Now, Alvarez is not known for his jab. He is, like you mentioned, known for that hard body attack, being physical, driving guys against the ropes, and hurting them with those solid punches. The problem is, guys, that Mayweather is just so elusive. He is the most elusive fighter in boxing today, and he's almost like a computer in the ring at times, because after the first couple of rounds, he's figured out how you're going to fight him, and he's taking away your best weapon. So I'm sure that Alvarez's game plan is to go to that body, push him against the ropes, be physical with him, try to wear him down from the body up. But, so many other fighters have tried to do that, and it just hasn't worked out. And I don't think Alvarez, who really has been fed a steady diet of bums and washed-up, former good fighters in the form of Shane Mosley and Josecito Lopez and Alfonso Gomez, guys that you've never even heard of, to get to this point. His biggest win to date was over Austin Trout, and Austin Trout's a good fighter, but Austin Trout is no Mayweather by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
I just don't think that Canelo Alvarez has the requisite experience to make the adjustments he's going to need to make in the ring at this point.
So we got to take a quick break. We're going to come back, finish up the hour, talking more about a great big fight night out in Vegas. Chris Mannix, our guy, Sports Illustrated's guy, is out at the MGM Grand covering this. Mayweather and the Italian monster, Miguel Canelo, the Artie Lange Show. covering the big fight, Mayweather, Canelo, and Chris, Dan Filato is not your friend. He wanted to send a tranny to your room.
Oh, boy.
I said, Mannix will figure that out in a heartbeat.
Yeah, you look for the Adam's apple.
Yeah, exactly. I said midway through making out with him, he'd notice.
You think I'd get to the midway point?
Hey, you never know. You're blogging, you're out there, you're concentrating. So what is the prediction on the fight, brother? Mayweather and how many?
I think it's a Mayweather whitewash. I mean, he's moving up to a bigger weight class, and as I mentioned in the last segment, he doesn't necessarily have that same power when he goes up to the 152 junior middleweight type division, but he is going to be able to outbox this guy. I think it's one of those 12 rounds lopsided decisions. And again, you go back to the idea that at some point Floyd's going to get old in the ring, and if he keeps fighting, somebody's eventually going to catch up to him. I just don't think that Alvarez has enough experience to do it. I think Floyd is like as a PhD in boxing, and Alvarez is just sort of this high school kid who's kind of a can't-miss prospect, but I don't think he's quite there yet.
So not a knockout, but just a massive lopsided 12-round decision.
If I had to guess, it'd be like a 118-110 type of decision where if Mayweather wins probably 8 or 9 of the 12 rounds. It's just that's what he does in these divisions. I mean, his win against Guerrero in May was on my card anyway, I think an 8-4 type of fight. His fights before that against Victor Ortiz before he knocked him out was lopsided. Miguel Cotto, even though Cotto fought a good fight, that was a 117-111 type of decision. I mean, Floyd just has this knack for getting you down big in the early rounds and taking you out of your game. It's one of his greatest gifts in boxing. And Canelo's going to be down early. He's going to jump out of his game plan, and that's when Floyd's going to have him.
You're a writer. Is the writing world, the literary world, abuzz over the release of my next book, Crash and Burn?
Not the book itself, but waiting for the audio tape, because according to you tend to have other celebrities do it for you.
Yeah. Right now, Mannix Sue is doing half of the book. And,
Mike Bichetti,
the other half is Canelo. Canelo's agreed to do it.
Well, I can't get your book, Artie, until you finish doing Bichetti's album. You said you're going to do 43 of the 45 minutes.
Oh, that's right. I have to. Bichetti's doing an album. I'm opening for him. I'm doing the whole thing. And then Mike's coming out and saying hello to the crowd. But honestly, if you're worth anything, you'll pre-order Crash and Burn now. It's available now on Amazon.com. Forward by Joe Buck. So tell your friends at Sports Illustrated that.
I'm on it, man.
Hey, Chris, I got a question. What was all the hubbub about the weight being 152 for this fight? Was something where Canelo came down even though he didn't have to, and the Mayweather camp was saying he was stupid for doing I didn't catch all the details on that.
Yeah, look, the backstory is a couple of years ago, Canelo was much younger, and he was fighting at the 154-pound division, which he currently is a champion in. He said he'd come down to 150 pounds to fight Mayweather, and Mayweather consistently fights in the 147-pound weight division. This was 2 years ago in an article that probably nobody read, and Mayweather used that as sort of be able to use that as a poster for him to say Alvarez wanted to come down in weight. The reality is that Alvarez wanted this fight to be fought at 154 pounds. That's his weight class. That's where he's the champion in. But Mayweather refused to do it. They negotiated. They went back and forth. Mayweather said he'd come up to 152 pounds. Alvarez said he'd come down to 152 pounds. They settled on it. Look, guys, the weigh-in was today. I was at it. It was insane. There was over 12,000 people at the weigh-in. But both those guys made the weight very easily. Alvarez came in right at 152 pounds. Mayweather came in at 150 and a half. And both those guys looked like it didn't bother them at all. They both looked in phenomenal shape. Neither one of them looked drained. Neither one of them looked like they were out of shape.
Yeah.
I think the weight's not going to be an issue in this fight.
What do you think Alvarez will weigh when the fight happens? 170?
It's a great question, and I think he's going to go up a lot. He'll probably go up more than any fighter that Mayweather has ever faced. I mean, traditionally, he goes up into the mid-160s, even as high as 170. I think he'll probably be in about 168, 169 for this fight, and that's going to put him – I mean, if you look at the real weight – and Mayweather's not going to go up at all. I mean, Floyd is going to stay right where he is, if not go a little bit lower at times, even maybe down to the 140s. This is going to be, basically a welterweight going up against a super middleweight, and it's going to be a big advantage for Canelo in this fight.
Right. Real quick, we got to go in a bit. Any interesting undercard fights that you care about?
The Danny Garcia-Lucas Matisse fight is going to be an absolute war. It's between two knockout artists who are some of the best fighters at 140 pounds, and pay attention to it because the winner of that fight is going to have a great chance of facing the winner of the Mayweather-Canelo fight.
Really? Well, God, I mean, you give Mayweather too much credit. This guy can't seem to get it together, but to fight somebody. But because you never know. Because if his camp is really afraid of losing to somebody, he'll avoid fighting them. But
yeah, he will.
Garcia, and who's the other guy? Danny Garcia?
Lucas Matisse, who's an Argentinian who's been blasting guys away. 89% knockout rate for Matisse. He's a great knockout puncher.
All right, Chris. Well, listen, thanks so much. Call back next week after the fight happens for an analysis, or come in if you're in town.
Yeah.
And we'll make it happen. Don't do anything I wouldn't do out there, brother. Be careful.
And let me know if you got like a field hockey game coming up that I can host later.
And let me tell you, I always say this. If you give a hooker money to go and get cocaine, she will never come back with the cocaine. The Artie Lange Show.
The Artie Lange Show. Weeknights on Audience. Only on DirecTV.